Hey, everybody, welcome to the Quantum Life Health, the Quantum Health. You would think that I named the show so I could probably say it, right? The Quantum Health, Life, and Well-Being Show. Next week, I'll get it right, guys. I'm so happy you're here again. A little time change, right? I'm taking the advice from the powers that be who say that afternoon podcasting isn't really great. So here we are, Friday night, 7:30 on the East Coast. And one of my favorite people on the planet is joining us tonight. I'm going to tell you about her in a minute. I just want to enjoy. I think I need to start over. I want to invite you to join our membership group, a YouTube membership group. It's a small monthly fee, and there are benefits for members. That's about the best way to say it. There are all kinds of videos back there that Augie and I have done, and more videos that are coming, and exclusive content that we may not want to put out to the public at large yet. So we kind of test drive it in a smaller and informal group. We are having a membership gathering probably once a month. And we may have like guests, like maybe Jenny G or maybe Dr. Charnel will come and talk. But I would just love to see you there. So please join us. And if you have not subscribed to Broadcast Team Alpha, please subscribe and hit the bell if you want to know when our shows are going to be coming up, especially since this time is a little bit in flux. I would recommend that. So I want to tell you about my friend Charnel. She's so amazing. Dr. Charnel is originally from Montana. She's a naturopathic doctor, and she's a minister who teaches on divine health and the human body. She's a crown diamond in Young Living, right? Those are amazing oils. And is passionate about reconciling all people to an integrative life, mind, body, and soul. How great is that? That's the epitome of health right there. By teaching in over 44 countries and having over 15,000 clients in 44 countries, Dr. Charnel influences the social media, and she's really influencing people around the world. She's authored 5 books in total, of which 2 of the most recent titles are The Science of Miracles, Remembering the Frequency of Love. I love that. And The Keto Reset, really good. 31 Days to a New Life. Ooh, you have to come on again. We'll talk about that. As well as a card deck. She's got crystals, she's got oils, decrees, and her card deck. And she's produced numerous teachings on the topics of divine science and the human body, including consciousness, epigenetics, quantum health, essential oils, nutrition, frequency, biofield, juicing, conscious language, cleansing, detoxing, and so much more. So welcome, Char. It's so good to see you.
Hello. How's it going? Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm so happy that you're here. And I noticed that you've created a university. And that's what kind of put me back in touch with you. I was like, "Ooh, look at all these classes!" And I did notice that you were talking about crystals and the science of crystals, and I thought we might talk about that tonight. So I know I have feelings about crystals. They're actually packed right now, but how do they work? Is it the frequency of them that impacts our frequency? How does it work?
So, yes, great questions. And thank you again for having me back. I love you so much, and I love your people. And this is so cool. And hey, Matt, wherever he's somewhere on his cell. So, yes. So I actually got into all of this because I been really fanatical, kind of OCD about frequency and neuroscience and physiology, the whole thing. And I was always told that crystals were bad, and coming from a religious background,
Right.
People put fear out there, and which is ironic because it's actually
Yes.
in the Bible if you follow the Bible or believe in the Bible. If you don't, whatever. But just
Exactly.
just saying. But I was studying and understanding the frequency of essential oils, which if depending on what company you work with, there are a couple companies that actually contain frequency in the oils in the bottle.
Yes. Yes.
Most of them do not, but there are a couple that actually do. And when I was working with my patients and trying to recommend different avenues for them in whatever situation that they were dealing with, I would look to see what frequencies were required to help upgrade them to, bring that shift or restoration and bring that harmony back into their body, a mind, body, spirit, like the whole thing. And when I would look things up, sometimes, there would be a crossover where like this crystal would pop up and it would say it's doing the same thing. So I've always been really fascinated with rocks. And, I grew up, I moved around a lot, but I lived a lot of my time in the summers of Montana, where I was born. And there's just rocks everywhere. And I had marble collections and rock collections. And,
Me too.
yeah. So,
Yes.
yeah. So I was just, so then I started getting, really where I wanted to test crystals and actually see the frequency, like you mentioned, frequency. And there is frequency in the crystals. And the thing about crystals is their molecular structure is very stable and it's solid. It's not fluid at all. Where we change up and down constantly. Oils stay, but if you put oils that are real on your body and they go into your blood barrier, then that can help bring you up. Sure. But again, it won't stay. So it won't, like if it's 97 megahertz and you're 40 megahertz, which is terrible, and you put on an oil, it may bring you up a little higher than 40, but it's not going to bring you to 97 necessarily. It's just like it's kind of like an average. But
Gotcha.
But with crystals, what I started to do some testing is, let's say a biofield is very chaotic. You can bring in a crystal into the field and increase the strength of not only the physical body, but the frequency would go up. And then I started seeing the combination of oils, because like with oils, you have to reapply probably 4 to 6 hours to really keep it in your system, but also to help with the frequency. Sure. But crystals record. So they not only stabilize, but they also record. So that's why you have to clean them so much and clear them. Versus oils, you don't really have to. They just stay.
Sure.
The only thing that could affect them would be like sunlight or heat. If they're like left in the car or something like that, it will kill them. X-rays will kill them. But what's interesting with oils is, like, even if you go through an X-ray machine, the X-ray machine will kill it, and within 4 hours, they resurrect themselves again.
Really? That's cool. That's very cool.
Yes, they're the blood of a plant, and they have resurrection power. So imagine what they do in us. So when I started testing, I would put an oil on and then add a crystal that was a companion crystal, doing the same thing that the oil does. And it would not only anchor in the frequency of the oil to make it last longer, but it would stabilize the field to a higher frequency and hold it not just in the body, but in the entire field. So I immediately was like, oh my gosh, there's such a partnership here that is missing, because there's
brilliant.
Yeah, I saw tons of reference guides on essential oils, and I saw tons of reference guides on crystals, but I did not see anything that was created yet, that I could find anyway, that would put them together So I
Yes.
could just have an easy list to go, okay, let's say blood pressure or sleep or stress or, whatever, you name it, that this would be blah, 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 blah.
Right.
This crystal and this oil work together for
Yes.
that. So I started this list, and then a lot of people were asking for the list. And so after a while, people were encouraging me, hey, will you print that? And I thought, well, if enough people really want to dig in, maybe I should make a book or something. And I
Yeah.
was going to create an actual book, but then I had an accident, synchronicity, which is not really an accident. I had went to go see Dr. Lucky, and he was testing me for one of the vitamins that my body kept saying it required. And when he picked up, I'll just use this for example, and he picked it up, and it was the vitamin that I needed. And when he entered it into my field actually went weak, even though it said I needed it 5 seconds ago. It caused my whole body and my field to drop. And so then he was like, okay, let me test you to see, is it something with the color? Is it something with the label? And he went through, and everything kept saying no, 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 no. And when he got to where it was made, it said Ecuador. And as soon as he said Ecuador, my body got weak, the field dropped, and we knew it had something to do with that word.
Wow.
And I actually had a really traumatizing event that happened in Ecuador, and ended up being in the hospital for 3 weeks, and
Wow.
didn't speak the language, and was not
Wow.
at home. And, they were giving me a death sentence, and, just, they saved me,
Yeah.
with the help of Gary Young, it was his hospital, and he actually, thank God for him. But, for some reason, I guess it was still lingering even years later, that word, enough
Yeah.
to weaken me, which made me wonder, what in the world are we walking around on an average day with a word on a shirt or a label or a sign or
Yes.
a color that is causing our frequency to shift or drop or raise?
Yes.
And gave me more awareness of that. So at that point, I not only wanted to have a marriage of the crystals and the oils, but I wanted to have a marriage of the crystals, oils, and decrees that would match. And took it a step further to, instead of making a book that you would literally carry around all the crystals, we decided to make these cards, which has all of the crystal pictures on the front.
Cool. Okay.
And then on the back shows like what the crystal does, what it does for the mind, body, spirit, and also has a decree for each one. And then it has the 4 top companion oils that work best with this exact crystal.
That's excellent.
So not only for flashcards use, or you can use like a game, or I pick one every now and then. And with the card availability versus the book, I can stick this under a pillow or under a mattress, or put it in my purse for the day if this is what I need.
Like that.
Or stick it in my car. I'm not lugging around a whole deck of cards or a whole book where I go. This can go under someone's bed or in a drawer, or just, you can be sneaky in the kids' backpack or box or whatever. And they're getting frequency. And what's interesting is when I tested like the actual crystal in the field, and then I removed, if the real crystal was in the field, it would test.
Yes.
And it tested high. If I pulled it away, the person would drop. If I added the card instead of the crystal, it came back equivalent to as if it had the actual crystal in real life. So
that's great.
It held the frequency for some reason, the image, the words, whatever it is, it held it, and it changed the entire field of whoever was holding it. So and I actually picked this one for your audience today. This is Apple Aura Quartz, and it's actually bonded with nickel. This crystal displays a fresh yellow-green color reminiscent of a Granny Smith apple. It cleanses and clears all the chakra, heart energy centers. It acts to stimulate the beholder and their biofield to a higher vibration energy, allowing sovereignty of mind, body, and soul. This healthy crystal is a protector for the spleen specifically. It's organ responsible for purifying the blood, boosting the immune system. The decree is, I am permanent light now, and the companion oils are lemon myrtle, melissa, tea tree, and oregano. So if anyone is,
thank you. I love that. Thank you. And sure, it does not surprise me that the cards carry the same frequency as the crystal, because you made them, you created them. Of course they do. But it's interesting because I noticed I've got this little candle here, and it came with a rose quartz and then some herbs in it. And I was like, isn't that cool? Now they're putting crystals in candles too.
Interesting.
But I love crystals, and I love when I work with people, they're with Reiki and with healing with the energy. I love how it changes. I could be like, have their energy way up here in one area and then down here, and then bring a certain crystal in depending upon what's going on with their body. And then their whole level just like evens out. It's so amazing. So amazing. What's your favorite crystal?
Labradorite.
Labradorite. Oh, I love labradorite.
Yeah, totally. I have a raw one that I use. I actually got this in Labrador, Canada, which is where labradorite comes from, and this is the raw cut. But yeah, so what's your favorite? Is that your favorite? Is that what you're saying, or what is?
No. I love it. I work with gemstones. I make bracelets, and I had the most incredible labradorite for a season, where that I made bracelets with it, and I fell in love with it. I'm torn between amethyst and rose quartz.
I love rose quartz too. That's a biggie for sure.
Yeah, they're my faves.
Yes,
they're my favorites. They're so good. So I know I was talking with somebody else, actually talking with Augie. We were talking about shungite and putting shungite in the water, and he was like, well, I don't understand how it's going to purify the water. And I said, well, I don't think it, formally purifies the water, but the properties of shungite is to repel EMFs, right? And bad frequencies. So I was thinking that it's probably more of how it works. What do you think?
Absolutely. It's interesting you literally brought that up, because I was just with Dr. Lucky for a conference this last week. And at the end, he texted me, and that's the card that showed up because he uses these in his clinic as well. And I have people who are like massage therapists who, when they come in, they'll have someone pick a card, they'll lay it on the table, so the frequency's in the massage. But and he had his patients come on our retreat center, and every person that he ever sees, he always has them pick a card. And I picked shungite. But it is really good for the water, and it's also very good radiation, like you mentioned, and repelling that, but also just negative vibes in general. Like, a good one to create healthy boundaries, without you having to do a lot of effort in that. It kind of does it for you. So it's like your BFF that like bodyguards all the negative vibes, and I'm like, yay, I like black stones a lot, and try to remember to carry one in my pocket or around my neck, or do something pretty regular just to keep things up and have an extra level there of just, especially empaths.
Yes.
Very important. So we're not getting any kind of vampire thing going on.
Exactly. And before I left the hospital setting, as a nurse, intuitively, I was guided. It was only one little shungite round bead, just one, but I was guided to have it perfectly, like right in the base of my throat. And to this day, I don't know why, but I just knew that it benefited me. I absolutely knew it, because in the hospital, all of the radiation and magnetics and, insanity. So, but I think intuitively that we should listen, We should listen to what we're guided to. For me, I have to be careful because put me in the place where there's a million crystals to buy. I could get a little giddy and buy too much. So, I have to center myself and ground myself so that I am guided to the crystal that's right for me. I have one crystal shard. I got it. It's 45 years old.
Oh, wow.
I've had it for 45 years, and this amazing psychic lady gave it to me, and it came with a reading I had with her back in Virginia Beach, and it's so special. It's like a lifetime with it.
What is it?
It's just a quartz crystal.
Quartz, like just white quartz.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, by the way, you were asking about Sophie.
Oh, what's her name?
Her name is Sophie.
Hi, Sophie. She's so cute. Char, I want one of those.
You have to get one. You have to.
Oh,
there's
goodness. She's so cute. And actually, when I was making the bracelets, I started making talisman for dogs.
Oh, really?
I would get a little copper wire, and I would, intuitively pick maybe 2 or 3 beads, and then I'd loop it so it could fit into their collar. Yeah. It's very
Well, I'll tell you what, the day I brought her home, the very first place that she went is the whole area where all my crystals are. And she literally laid on the crystals and around the crystals and took her first nap. Like, that was immediately the first place. Animals know nature and they know frequency.
Yes.
And I mean, she took a beeline and was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to sleep all up in, and it's rocky. It was like, you're literally sleeping on top of crystals. That can't be comfortable. But she was gone and happy and just the sweetest little puppy.
That's a powerful message to us, that she knew that.
Yeah, my cats do the same thing. My dogs do the same thing. They're either sitting on top of my oil bag or my crystals. It's like, that's their spots.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. So what oil would you use? So now I'm stuck on rose quartz. So rose quartz is good for your heart, right?
Yes.
So what would be a good oil for your heart, and then with rose quartz?
The oil blend Joy with it was actually supposed to be called Love, but last minute Gary changed it to Joy, and that seems to be a really good partner. Believe is a good one. Hope is a good one. Inner Child is a good one. Yeah, there's quite a few that are really good. There's not a bad oil, right? But but yeah, definitely with pink and or rose quartz, those colors are all about heart chakra and love, and
that's lovely. It sounds like there are new oils that came out, because I'm not familiar with some of those names. Are there new ones?
Oh, I don't think they've been around quite a while.
Really? Maybe I haven't looked deep enough. Joy
has been at least 15 years that I know of. So I don't know about Inner Child and some of those that they've been. Yeah, actually, those have been around since I've been around with the oil. So at least 15 years.
So you're a diamond. That's impressive.
Well, I don't look at titles as much as I do as my availability and ability to serve and help more people.
And to me, that's telling me how many people you are helping. I'm not talking about that it's a title, and I get that, but to serve that many people, that's huge, Char.
I love it. I love helping. I love seeing people get their miracles. I love people getting healed and restored, whether it's, support mentally or emotionally or physically. And of course, we know 86% of all physical ailments have to do with emotions. So if we can help, restore the emotions and get us back to a baseline of love, then that's the highest frequency that we can have. And it's on a scalar wave. 500 is the map of consciousness of love. So that's my goal, and probably, a lot of people's goal. I know your goal. We all want to be in love, and unconditional love, not just love, but actual unconditional love, which is the highest frequency and is God. God's source is love.
It is. It is. And I have to tell you a story, because this is exactly what you're describing. So I went to the nursing home. My godmother's in the nursing home, and it's not going well. It's going bad, right? And she's having a really bad day, and I'm just ready to cry. And this little being, right, who lives at the nursing home also, this little lady, white ponytail, massive blue eyes, comes walking in, and she was so quiet, and she looked at me, and I had a purple dress on, and she was referencing the dress, but she was so quiet. And I just fell into her eyes, Shar, and she touched me like, there, this little old grandmother. And I swear to God, she helped me heal. It was her love healed me in that moment.
I have a similar story. You want to hear mine?
Yeah.
I don't know. Something's in the air for sure, because there was a day last week that I had a similar situation where it seemed like one thing after another, and I was like, oh my Lord. And I was driving to go get my car oil done and cleaned and everything, and I pulled up to pump my gas before I did all that. And when I did, this other guy pulls up on the other side, and when he gets out, he's a big, huge dude. I mean, an older gentleman. And he said, well, I guess no road rage today, or something like that, like to me. And I'd actually been crying. And I don't think it could tell, maybe you could or not. But he said, I guess no road rage today. And he kind of said it like he was angry or frustrated. And I knew it was directed at me, because he looked right at me and said it. And then,
right.
So I said, road rage. I was like, are you talking to me?
Yeah.
And he said, yeah. I guess there won't be any road rage today. And I said, well, I hope there's not any road rage today. I said, are you okay? And he said, well, you just cut me off. You just pulled right. I was waiting to go right there, and you just zoomed right in after I'd been waiting. And I said, oh my gosh. I said, I'm so glad you said something, because I promise you, I did not even see you. I wouldn't have never done that. I don't even know where you came from. I just was not paying attention, and I just came right in. And he was like, oh, okay. And then he said, well, my name's so-and-so. What's your name? And I said, so-and-so. And he said, what do you do? And I said, I'm a naturopath. And he said, what's that? And I told him, and, he was just, being nice to me and stuff. And we talked about the weather. And again, I told him, I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to know what I did, because I wouldn't be able to apologize, and I wouldn't want you to be upset and me just wandering around not knowing that I did anything. And he was like, hey, you know what? It's okay. Everybody's going through stuff, and it's just, it is what it is. And I'm glad that we talked. And this is like a whole stranger. And so then and when he said it to me, it was similar to you. It was like he didn't touch me or anything, but I felt the words of what he was saying, and he meant it so lovingly and gently that I actually felt the grace of his turning so fast, of mean, angry, things could have went south really fast to just this really sweet, loving, kind man. And so I said, well, it was really great meeting you. I hope you have a great week. And I started to pull out, and I went a few, I was tire rings. And then I was I felt myself start crying again. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back. And so I went back, and I rolled down the window, and I said, you know what? I didn't want to go into it, but I've had a few deaths this week, and then some other things happen, and there's just been a snowball of stuff, and I'm honestly not having the best day. And I just wanted to tell you, I felt I actually feel your love, and I just appreciate your grace so much for talking to me in that minute. And he was like, "Can I pray with you?"
That's
And
so
I'm not
beautiful.
normally like a let's pray and hold hands kind of thing, but he was so sincere, and he, in his mind, he's like, and there is power in that. And so
Yes.
I was like, yeah. And I rolled the window all the way down. He came over, grabbed my hands, and he just started praying for me. And we were both sobbing at the gas station of just two people that never met.
Oh,
And then I just left and felt like I could,
wow.
I was just like, wow, that was just so divine. So I totally get what you're saying. I felt like my heart and soul were healed in some way.
Oh, that is so, you know what? Sometimes I think that it's angels in disguise when things like that happen, you know? I mean, that's so huge and it's so out of the ordinary and it's such a profound blessing, when it happens.
And we can be those angels. I look
So,
for those opportunities. I
yes.
could have just drove away. I could have just, when he said that, I could have done a lot of different things. He could have done a lot of different things, but for whatever reason, and this is, I live for these kind of things. I'm normally the giver, and in this case became a receiver, and it was such a blessing. And, so yeah, I look for those opportunities of just smiling at someone. My kids and we play the smile game when we're at the airport or the mall or even in the car. And we'll say, okay, let's play the wave game or the smile game. And depending on if we're in the car, it's the wave game. If we're in person, it's the smile game. And will smile as we walk by people to see how many people will smile back. And
I love it.
sometimes they won't even make contact, like eyes, but
Yes.
sometimes they look at us like, "What are you smiling at?" And like, "Get all
I love
suspicious."
it.
But sometimes they're like, "Hey," and then I'm like, "Hey," or at the grocery store or whatever. And then the car, same thing. Sometimes you'll get a wave back and we get a point.
That's
So
so cool.
I try to encourage them to like look for opportunities to love on people because a lot of people are going through so much right now. It's just, tough
Yes.
times for a lot of people, and you have no idea what people are going through, and when you listen to some of their stories, I mean, with my consultations and my patients, like just hearing, and I know
Yeah.
you have your version, you listen to
Yeah.
people all the time too, and just looking on Facebook, death, death,
Yep.
death, this person died, this animal died. So many people are choosing to leave,
Yes.
and so many
Yes.
animals are choosing to cross over right now, and there has been so much loss, and
Yes, there
it is a
has.
little bit hard to rebound, sometimes from that, when it's so much in a row of like, wow,
Yes.
how do we catch up?
Exactly.
I know
Exactly.
you have had a lot, in helping so many people in that transition. I wouldn't be able to do what you do. Like, God bless you for what you do. That
Yeah. Thank
is
you. Thanks.
not my
Yeah.
call.
But and what we're really talking about, just to circle back, is the frequency of love, whether it's the wave game or the smile game or meeting somebody and having a conversation. I mean, other than West Virginia, where people talk to each other everywhere, I've never seen a place like this. But I could imagine in many other places where I've lived where that conversation wouldn't have happened. It was, busy, gotta go, and it wouldn't have happened. So when I think we carve out the space for that, there's just something so divine, in that. So
Absolutely. I totally
divine.
agree.
Yeah.
Love it.
I
Yes,
love it
ma'am.
too. And I just wanted to talk about, I made the talismans for the dog. They were actually called tail wagging talisman.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it started because my dog needed something, for his heart, so he got rose quartz, and it just sort of happened. But then I was like, well, what is a talisman? And then I traced, like you did, talisman all the way back to the breastplates,
Oh, yep.
right in early civilization, in the Roman times too. I can't see. Oh, cool.
Yeah. I have like a little chart here talking about
Wow.
what's on the breastplate. And green actually is the heart chakra. So this is heart, but I pulled up. In the breast, it's emerald. So,
Beautiful.
but yeah, and think about, these guys were the Levites. These were the priests. They were handling orphans, widows, people who just lost their husbands, who were, they were dealing with money and donations. They were dealing with, serving in killing animals for sacrifices and lots of bacterial things and, things that, they're doing lots of things. So there's a lot of service giving out. So this frequency, the crystals that they wore, of course, they needed all the extra support possible to do all these things and have the energy and the will and the vibe, literally. To perform and to, well, I don't like to say perform, to serve in those, avenues. And here we are, modern day Levites or, priests or ministers in service. I come from a religious background. I'm not religious at all, but I do consider ministry by definition any kind of service, so, but yeah, crystals, we should be using frequency and crystals, especially if you're in any level of contact of caring for others, whether it's touch or mental or counseling, physical with like physical therapy, massage, Reiki, all of those kind of things are really, really important to make sure you're filling your cup and keeping it stable. So you're not trying to give out from nothing. And we got to put that back in and really, really remember ourselves as well. Oxygen mask first, right?
Exactly. Can't pour from an empty cup, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting. And when I was thinking back to my bracelets, I did have very specific ones for healers for that exact reason. Yeah, definitely.
Yes, that's
sure.
Awesome.
It was so good talking to you. This was the fastest 40 minutes I've seen.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Well, I appreciate you allowing me to hop on with you tonight. And
really, and I want you to come back and let's talk about the Keto Reset. That would be fabulous. Yeah.
Yes. I'd be honored. That would be so fun. I appreciate that. Yes, and the Signs of Miracles too. Like definitely
Signs of Miracles. Where can people get your book? Please tell them how they can find you.
Yes, go to swiftfire.org. That's Swift as in quick fire.org, not .com.org. And right there in the shop, my books are there. The card decks are there. I have, like you mentioned, tons of classes online. And I'd love to hang out and help whoever. Do consultations. I do biofeedback. I do soul audits. One of the things that I missed, I just did this last conference, is actual seeing people in real life, hugging them, signing books, hearing their stories in real life. And, I love that we can do this on a Friday night and whoever in the world can watch and engage and participate. But I don't get to see the people. I don't get to look in their eyes. I don't get to hear their stories. I don't get to hug them. So if you were watching this and we haven't talked before, or you got something out of this, in any way, I love for you to hit me up on social media and just be like, hey, I'm so-and-so. And then I have a visual of you and I could at least have a point of reference and contact to say hey, back, and keep you in my prayers. And that would be great.
That's
just a
great.
virtual hug to everybody and to you.
I love it. So much love to you, Shar. Thank you so much. Thanks everybody for being here. We'll see how the stats go and what our producer thinks. And I suspect we'll be back here next Friday at 7:30, but I'll keep you guys posted on social media. So much love to you. And my heart is so full for our conversation tonight, Shar. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So good seeing you.